Good morning, everybody. We are Group 7, and we covered Case 7, covering the mechanical engineer's dilemma. The case foundation here is that a mechanical engineer, 3 months into their new job in R&D, noticed 20 to 30 large crates sitting outside their office building. These crates were product that the company had sold that had been sent back from Southeast Asia with the intent of being upgraded, but due to other priorities within the business, they sat. The upgrades would have taken 6 months, but after 5 months of sitting outside the plant, no changes had been made yet. So with the contractual obligation stating that they had to be done with upgrades within 6 months, the company decided to just send the product back with no changes in order to avoid those penalties. After 9 months, the mechanical engineer in question left his job due to this issue because he knew the company would continue in its unethical practices.
The primary ethical issue in the case is the engineer's company knowingly sent back the non-upgraded machinery to a customer in order to avoid the contractual penalties associated with taking too much time to complete the work. The engineer knew about the situation 3 months into his employment. After 9 months of employment, the engineer left the company. The primary ethical issue is whether the engineer is ethical and how long he waited before leaving the company after discovering its unethical business practices.
The relevant ASME professional ethical code includes Fundamental Principle 2, being honest and impartial in serving with fidelity their clients, including their employers and the public. Fundamental Canon 4, engineers shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees, and shall avoid conflicts of interest or the appearance of conflict of interest. Fundamental Canon 6, engineers shall associate only with reputable persons or organizations.
The ethical theories we use are defined as follows. In moral philosophy, deontological ethics or deontology is the normative ethical theory that the morality of an action should be based on whether that action itself is right or wrong under a series of rules rather than based on the consequences of the action. The categorical imperative is the central philosophical concept in the deontological moral philosophy of Immanuel Kant. Kant defines categorical imperatives as commands or moral laws all persons must follow, regardless of their desires or extenuating circumstances. These imperatives are binding on everyone.
The premises for our first argument here is that the engineer discussed how they left the company after 9 months in order to make sure that they themselves never got involved in an unethical decision on a project there. However, they still went 6 months knowing about the company's unethical practices as they watched others make unethical decisions without doing anything themselves. The engineer was not honest with the Southeast Asian client about how the company was deceiving them. He was also not acting as a faithful agent for the clients by not reporting the company's actions and by working for this company for 9 months. While he knew about these issues, he was associating with a non-reputable organization. These premises go against Fundamental Principle 2 and Fundamental Canons 4 and 6 of the previously defined ASME Code of Ethics. All companies should complete the work contractually stated within the agreed parameters while also communicating any problems directly with the customer. The conclusion for our argument was that the engineer's decision to wait 9 months to leave the company after finding out about its unethical business practices earlier is unethical by deontological ethics. It is a categorical imperative that all companies should treat their customers fairly and with respect. By not reporting his findings or leaving the company earlier when he first knew the company was not fulfilling their contractual obligations, and they were sending back still those unfixed machines, and just so that they would avoid the penalty, he violated this categorical imperative, thus making his decision to stay at the company for so long after finding out about the problem earlier unethical.
Some possible objections to our argument include one saying, regardless of the time taken before leaving the company, it's still an ethical decision to leave the company in general instead of staying and continuing to work for them while aware of the misconduct going on. A second objection could say that when leaving the company, the employee was ethical when acting as a faithful trustee towards his employer for not releasing information that could potentially ruin their business.
These are the contributions of each individual team member to our project. These are the references we use to complete our work. We open the floor to any questions from the class.